trans should be transitioning or transitioned. And that makes a lot of people mad. That's the thing. You think that, but then some other people are gonna say, no, what does it mean to be transgender? Just because you're non-binary doesn't make you trans. The rainbow flag was created to include everything. And then we include this to include the rest of the stuff. I feel like the only people that think that way are people that are trying to prevent racism by causing more racism. You know the F slur? So this is really, a lot of people get so mad, especially like Twitter people. Nobody can agree on a definition of trans.
Nobody.
When it comes to like transgender, trans, nobody can be consistent on it. So I'm gonna set it up right now. Everybody's gonna follow what I say, okay? Trans means you're transitioning or you have transitioned from one gender to another gender. That's not controversial, right? Being trans means you're transitioned or transitioning from one to the other. So many people get pissed at that. It's so annoying. It's like, we need a definition on trans. I don't know why that offends people.
I want someone to explain it to me.
That makes sense to me. Because people think trans could be before you transition, during, and after. That's literally everything. That definition doesn't work because it's everything. I'm talking about what you're doing and what you did. That's what makes you trans, right? Does that make sense? I'm not trying to invalidate anyone, but that's consistent. Trans adjective, trans denoting or relating to a person whose sense of personal identity and gender does not correspond with their birth sex. That's part of the definition. That's part, but I feel like you're missing the other half. You're missing the other half where they do something about it, and that's what separates them from non-trans people. Right? Trans isn't short for transition. It's cause trans chemical double bond, which means the arrangement of molecule, so short for transitioning. I don't think that has to do anything with this, James. I know there's stuff that's straight out of the dictionary. I'm glad you brought that up. You know the F slur? And we all know the F slur. Apparently, if you're in the UK and you say the F slur, doesn't that mean a cigarette or a pile of sticks? So we should be able to say the F slur, right? The thing about society is that we don't go strictly off the definition, right? If that was the case, everybody should be allowed to say the F slur, pile of sticks, and food. Exactly. That's why the definition argument is bad, because it's inconsistent with reality. It's super inconsistent. Trans should be transitioning or transitioned, and that makes a lot of people mad. I'm not trying to invalidate anybody. I think what a better question is, why does it make me mad? Because there should be a way to define it. Because if you say trans is anything, then there's no point of the word. There's literally no point of the trans if it can be anything, right? Trans is transitioned or transitioning. That's what it is. People get offended by that, and it's wrong. Playing devil's advocate, not everybody who intends is able to trans. That's the thing. There's multiple ways to transition. There's socially, where it's like, hey guys, start calling me by these pronouns and use this name instead. Anybody can do that, right? Unless you're in a situation where you can't, right? Or medically, if you're more privileged, or legally, right? But there's situations where you can't do any of that, and that's fine. You probably still have gender dysphoria. Trans just means you're transitioning or transition. I'm not trying to say that you're wrong or invalidating your experience. You can still be potentially trans without having doing something. Does that make sense? Trans equals transition, transitioning, transition, transportation, transmission, a lot basically. True, but in our context, we're talking about the other trans. Trans means transgender, not transitioning. That's the thing. You think that, but then some other people are gonna say, no, what does it mean to be transgender? What does that mean? And then we have to keep breaking it down super far back. I'm trying to make everything simple and straightforward. And here's the other hot take. That's just the icing. Here's what I really want to say, okay? Hold on to your everything, everyone. Some non-binary people are trans, but not all non-binary people are trans. Does that make sense? Just because you're non-binary doesn't make you trans. Trans is transitioning or transition. Some non-binary people will have surgeries or do hormones or something, whereas other non-binary people will do literally nothing. They're only non-binary because they don't care what you call them. They're like male or female, it doesn't matter to them. They really don't care, and they're not gonna do anything about it. They're just gonna continue living their life, and it's comfortable that way. They're not transitioning, they're just non-binary because they don't identify. They're not closely associated to any gender. They're just like, whatever. I'm just gonna continue living my life and presenting as what I want to present as without transitioning or doing anything to look different. I'm just gonna continue being myself. I just don't care what you call me. That's the important part. I don't care what you call me. That's a lot of trans people. They're just gonna continue being what's comfortable for them, even if it means not changing. That's the really tricky thing about non-binary people. Some of them are trans, some of them are not trans, and that's fine. I said that, and somebody got mad the other day. But it just makes sense that some are not, some are. That's the concept. Does a non-binary counter being trans? Yes and no. That's what makes it tricky. That's why non-binary, some of them are trans, some of them are not. That's the thing. I think there's NB, gender non-conforming, and NB, gender fluid. Which is the latter, which is more likely to be trans. Exactly. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of layers in what I just said. But I feel like it makes sense. As long as you understand that trans means transitioned or transitioning. Just be me, don't care about choosing a team or waving a flag. Speaking of flags, I'm gonna say something controversial. What's the LGBT flag that has everything? I think this flag is stupid. There's so much going on, and it seems like we keep adding to it. This is ridiculous. This is a lot. The rainbow flag was created to include everything, and then we include this to include the rest of the stuff, but that's already included in the rainbow flag. I feel like people just keep adding to it, and it's like, we already created something that's everything, but then you created another thing that's even more everything. That's why we have one flag. You know what would be easier? Instead of the rainbow flag, what if we just had a white flag? What if we just had a white flag? Neutral. Yeah, I respect people. I'm also human, and I respect other humans. White flag, dude. Just keep it simple. Because a lot of times whenever we make changes, not everyone gets updated on the new patch. Does that make sense? Just keep it simple. That's all I want. And it seems like, I don't know if this is the case, but it's like a small group of Twitter people that make the rules, and then they expect other people to be on the same level as they are. But it's like, we haven't gotten the update. We don't know. We haven't gotten the updates. I just want people to be happy in their bodies, yes. But you want to make the rules too. But my rules are better for everybody because they're simple, they have empathy, and anybody can get it. Keep it simple. A lot of fact spitting today, I see. Yeah, I don't know if that's good or bad. I couldn't be president. There's no way, dude. No way. I couldn't even, there's no way. If you have an OnlyFans, you can't run for president. But Nano, the white flag is racist because white people are inherently white, apparently. That makes everything worse if you think about it that way. I feel like the only people that think that way are people that are trying to prevent racism by causing more racism. I know you could probably be president even with OF. At least you could walk up the stairs properly. Whoa, Joe Biden can't walk up the stairs. Brown flag for inclusion. Brown flag would be fire, dude. But I think that's pretty much it for that conversation, right?